Welcome to Lead. In this season of Lead, we're talking about maturity and the importance of maturity. So essential, necessary. It's a non-negotiable if you want to accomplish anything of leadership value in life. I would say if you're going to accomplish anything in life, so important that we mature, that we grow, and we grow and mature in a lot of areas. And in the last episode of Lead, I talked about 1 Corinthians 13:11. The Apostle Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but now that I'm a man, I put childish things away. There's a maturity that happens, and it can happen and should happen in all of our lives, and especially when it comes to the idea of leading and being a leader. I thought about just the other day, I was at a restaurant, a meeting with someone, and somewhere off in the restaurant, I heard this, both of us, the person I was meeting with, and we both did this. We heard this baby let out a scream. Well, that's what babies do. They cry, they scream. But what it did was our attention went right to it, because in that restaurant in the afternoon, sitting down for coffee, meeting about something, well, it seemed a little out of place. Now, if I was in a nursery, if I was in a daycare or a preschool or somewhere where there's children, well, I'd expect that. If it was a big family meeting, well, I expect that. But in that moment, that place, it seemed out of place. And what it was a child, a baby, who is not mature, who's not matured very much, a very young child. And that's the way that babies, well, they act. They cry, they scream. And I'll just say it this way, this is what I want to talk about today, is that they are led by emotions. That emotions is what prompts them. It's the way that they communicate. It's the way that they let people know that they have a need or that something's going on or they want to be held or they want attention, is that they emotionally let out. The emotion drives them to make a sound of some kind. It's an emotional, I'll say it works this way in our life, even for adults sometimes, there's an emotional outburst. And I want to say this, that as maturing as a leader, well, emotional outbursts, they should diminish as we mature. Emotional responses, that when something happens, that we just respond with emotion. Again, that should be something that we did in a more immature time, but we're maturing. Emotional leadings, that what is leading us? Is it emotions, or is it a desire to accomplish what we're doing? What's leading us? And I love what it says in Proverbs. The book of Proverbs is chocked full of wisdom. And in Proverbs 25:28, it says this. It says that a man without self-control is like a city that's been broken into and left without walls. In other words, if there's no self-control, anything can get at me. Maturity means, one of the ways that you know you're maturing, and one of the things that I think that all of us can work on. And this is a leader, if you're leading in your home, if you're leading in a family, in a marriage, if you're leading a group, if you're leading in a place of business, if you're leading a place of ministry, all of us can grow in this area, and that's the area of self-control. What do I allow my emotions to do in my life? Because I believe this, I sincerely believe this, there's no good or bad emotions. It's what you do with those emotions. And I know we could argue and we could debate a little bit about, well, this emotion or that emotion, right? Is fear good or bad? Well, I think that it depends on what you do with it. There's a healthy fear sometimes that we can embrace about something, but there's also a very dangerous fear. It's the idea of sadness. There's times when we're sad, that emotion enters our life, but what do we do with that? Happiness, right? If my goal in life is just happiness all the time, well, that can be dangerous. What do I do with happiness? What do I do with anger? What do I do with emotions that I encounter in my life? Because we're created with emotions. So what am I going to do with those emotions? And what the Bible says in Proverbs 25:28 is that if I don't have self-control, I'm like a city that's been broken into and there's no walls. Anything and everything can get at me if I don't have control of my emotions. Proverbs 29:11 says it like this, that a fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. Having the ability to control my emotions is an incredible sign of maturity. It doesn't mean we don't have emotions. It doesn't mean that we don't have emotional times in our life. Yes, but as I said earlier, emotional outburst. Well, as a leader, I need to have that in check. Emotional outburst. If something happens, my first go-to shouldn't be an emotional outburst. It should be. Let me think this through. Heard somebody tell a story one time about how when they have something happen to them, they count to 10 and think about it. Well, sometimes I need to count to like 25 or maybe 100. But whatever it is you need to do as a leader, right? It's not outburst. It doesn't mean that we're not happy at times or that we can't cheer and we can't have passion. It means this, that outbursts are in control, that I'm controlling what that outburst looks like. Emotional responses. How do I respond to something that's happened? And I use two words, react and respond. React is what many of us will do. Something happens, we react instead of responding. Responding is different. Doctor gives you medicine and says, hey, take this. And the next day you call and say, hey, I had a reaction. Well, that's bad news. If the doctor calls you and says, hey, how are you responding? What he's wanting to know is this working? And for you and I, are we reacting emotionally or are we responding, keeping our emotions in control? And it gets down to this, who's leading? Are emotions leading me or actions leading me? I can't allow emotions to lead my life because emotions will lead you. Again, not good or bad emotions. It's the idea, what am I doing? Emotions don't need to be in the lead, right? I need to be in the lead. And you're created body, soul, spirit. And one of those three is going to lead. If your body's leading, well, that'll get you in trouble, right? So I want spirit, my spirit man, to lead. For a Christ follower, we want the spirit that God has birthed into us to lead. And then the slave, we want that to be our body, so that our body is enslaved to our spirit man. But then the soul, your mind, your will, your emotions, well, what do we do with those? And they're going to serve. They're going to serve. Again, if I'm letting the spirit in me lead, they're going to serve. And so emotions are going to serve me, not lead me. Emotions are going to be beneficial in my life, but they're not taking the lead. I'm going to act my way into a feeling and not feel my way into an action. It's so important that we get that in life, right? Because some people will go around, hey, I'm not having a good day. Well, why don't you change the way that you're encountering that day? The word says this, that this is the day the Lord has made. I'll rejoice and be glad in it. What's happening there? It's the day the Lord has given me. He's put me in this day, and I've got to make a decision to rejoice. I'm going to make this the best day there is. And this isn't just some positive talk, but you need to start your morning. You want to get your emotions in check? Start your morning. Here, this is maturity. Start your morning making the decision that today is going to be a great day. And I'm going to act my way into a feeling. I may not feel it right now, but I'm going to start making the steps. I'm going to do the right things in life. I'm going to take some time in devotion. I'm going to think about the blessings of God in my life. I'm going to think about the good things that I have in life. I'm going to open up God's word and read. I'm going to open up things that feed my soul and read. Find the good books that you can read that will help you. And I'm going to spend time in prayer. I'm going to talk to God. I'm going to let him talk to me. And I'm going to start my day off acting my way into a feeling, not feeling my way into an action. That's maturity. Maturity is when I put my emotions into check and I let my emotions serve me, not lead me. And I want to tell you, that will change your life as a leader. And that is a sign of maturity. What I do with my emotions. We're not babies here, right? I'm not going to spend my day in tears. I'm not going to spend my day angry. I'm not going to spend my day fearful. I'm going to make a decision that today is going to be a good day. There's a movie that I love. It's called War Horse. And in it, they're getting ready to buy this horse. And I'll add to it my thoughts because I do. But there's an expensive horse, and the question is, was this too expensive or something? And the guy says, there's small days and there are big days. And I like to think today's a big day. I'm going to make today a big day. And that means I need to grow up and not act. Right? Not let emotions lead me, but let my actions lead me. I want to tell you, that will change your life. As a leader, it'll change your life and your experience.